Well, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is visiting the African continent for the first time since he took up the position. Japan has long cultivated a relationship with the region and is hoping to build on these existing ties. And as Wilkista Nyabwa reports, many major global powers have been strengthening their relations with African nations in recent years.
Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's Africa visit began on Saturday. This is Kishida's first visit to Africa since taking office in 2021. It comes amid a push to strengthen ties with the Global South, a term that refers to over 100 developing nations in areas including Asia, Latin America and Africa. Japan has a long history of building relationships with African countries. In 2014, then Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe travelled with a large delegation to Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia and Mozambique to discuss, among other things, energy resources and increasing exports. Now the Japanese Prime Minister's visit to the African continent is seen as a chance to reaffirm Japan's role in the region and increase private investment. It comes less than a month before a meeting of the Group of 7 leaders in Hiroshima, which Japan will be chairing. Kishida is expected to reaffirm Tokyo and the G7's commitment to Ukraine and underscore the country's renewed attention to developing nations. This as African countries have been reluctant to declare their support for either side in the Ukraine conflict. In terms of economic growth, in the last 10 years, Japanese foreign direct investment in sub-Saharan Africa has decreased. A 2022 report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development showed that Japan ranked outside the top 10 investors in Africa. In the face of this, at the end of March, Russia, another big player in Africa, hosted over 40 African heads of state ahead of the Russia-Africa summit slated for July. At the end of 2022, the United States also held the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. During the final session of the Tokyo International Conference for African Development last August, the Japanese government pledged to invest $30 billion over the next 3 years with the aim of strengthening Japan's presence in Africa. And as the Japanese Prime Minister tours parts of the African continent, Japan will be hoping to reassert itself on the continent and gain support in areas of mutual interest. Wilkista Nyabwa, CGTN.